Well, it's Tuesday, and you all know what that means. As you probably know right about now, New Japan are almost close to the finish line. But the real question we gotta ask ourselves, who will be representing the A block to go to the finals? Well, this entire episode with this part of the review with New Japan of the best of the Super Juniors, we will see who will walk out as the A block winner. Now, keep in mind, guys, this type of tournament is a bit more tricky when it comes to the point system. So I'll explain some of it as we go. So bear with me, boys and girls. And then, of course, you know, NXT has entered the fallout after NXT Battleground. As you know, we have a brand new TNA World Champion. Trick Williams defeated Joe Hendry. But the real question is, what does this mean for TNA moving forward? We'll just have to wait and see as well. And of course, we do have some championship matches taking place. We have, of course, the NXT North American Championship. Ricky Saints will defend his championship against a man who felt that he shouldn't be in NXT to begin with, and that is, of course, All Ego Ethan Page. And then the main event, of course, out of our championship matches, we have the NXT Women's Championship. Stephanie Vakir defends the championship against Jacy Jayne after she bitch slapped her during NXT in a bit of a confrontation she was in from people from her past. So we'll see how things will roll up. But first things first, many of you know that on May 23rd has been remembered as the memory of the late Hana Kimura. For those who do know, Kyoko Kimura, who is the mother of Hana, always puts out a memorial show in a memory of her daughter, and many wrestlers who knew her or those who followed her, those who admire her, get together and do a one-night show where they bring back memories, talk about her, and fun matches we definitely could enjoy. So we're gonna see a whole lot of things in this one. For all you guys know, I have to say, I love doing these reviews because if you guys are big fans of Hana Kimura, then you guys know what I'm talking about. So the name of this show is called Hanabi. So I don't know what it means, but let's get this going. But as always, we'll cap up our episode as usual with some news updates to give you guys updates on what's been happening in the world of pro wrestling, such as what events the promotions are thrown out, who's booked, what matches are set, including developments that are happening in the world of pro wrestling as we speak. So, let's get ready for another episode of the Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Hey everyone, welcome to Deleted Wrestle Zone, all things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, TNA, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, J-Rod here. So, if you are new to the channel, welcome. This is a channel we do a lot of pro wrestling reviews from various promotions, not only here in the United States, but also in Japan, Mexico, Canada, Europe, the UK. Anywhere in the world pro wrestling is not as big, but it continues to grow. We also, of course, do discussion videos, talk about various topics such as the wrestlers themselves, the promotions, factions, storylines, whatever we want to talk about. We also, of course, do more news updates. If certain information was unable to be on this episode, we can either put it on the next one or on a separate video by itself. We also, of course, do real-time news updates to keep you guys on alert if something has happened in the world of pro wrestling that needs to be addressed ASAP. We also, of course, got the Unagi Sayaka Watch and various other cool wrestling content as well. So if you like what you see, please subscribe to us or click on that subscribe button. You'll be getting a lot of daily reviews and other cool wrestling content as well. But if you like this episode, please give us a like on the like button or a nice comment in the description down below. Now, enough with the yapping. It's time to call to order. So, as you know, let's begin with the Hana Kimura Memorial Show, Hanabi. right. First review: the Hana Kimura Memorial Show, Hanabi. Now, this took place recently on May 23rd in Korakuen Hall. Now, for those who do know, this was the actual day, of course, where I think it is, where Hana Kimura passed away. Now, for those who are new to the channel, are not familiarized with her, with Hana Kimura, let me give you guys a brief description who she is. Hana Kimura was a Joshi wrestler who wrestled in many promotions, but her defining career was in Stardom. She reformed an old faction that her mother, Kyoko Kimura, who at the time was retired, formed, called Oedo Tai. She formed it with a few other people such as Kagetsu, and Chris Wolf and a few others. Hana Kimura later left the promotion, the faction, to form the International Cyber Squad, later renamed to Tokyo Cyber Squad. And of course, she had some amazing rivalries, such as, of course, the current WWE superstar, and many of you know her as a former NXT Women's Champion, Julia. There were some great moments coming from her. Not to mention, Mercedes Moné actually played tribute to her in one of her matches, what was it, a year ago or so, in New Japan, and that sort of thing. But of course, sadly, her life was cut short due to cyberbullying, which of course it caused a little bit of a problem. And of course, people who knew her, wrestlers who worked with her, not only in Japan, but also wrestlers who were internationally that knew her, they often talk about what a great personality she is. And not to mention, Hana Kimura was also good in speaking English, trying to keep up with her fan base. Her passing really broke a lot of people's hearts. But Kyoko Kimura, her mother, decided to do a memorial show in honor of her. If you haven't seen the first show, there was one called Matane. That one really was one of the first memorial shows that she put out, that Kyoko Kimura actually put out. And that one always will be the first special memorial show for many of us who actually saw it. And of course, Kyoko Kimura has often said to herself she never would imagine of continuing on this. But of course, many wrestlers who participate in this event, there are those who actually knew her, those who actually admired her, they participate. So yeah, you probably can guess a whole lot of why on that. But there are some wrestlers I will mention who participated in this event who had a connection to her, and that way you guys can get a clear idea what's going on. But let's begin, of course, with the event. There was a lot of things that happened, but of course, Kyoko Kimura was there too, to greet the fans and all this other stuff, and it's great. I mean, I know deep down it still hurts to lose her only child, and that really is saddening. That's the one thing we do know. But nonetheless, let's get this show started. Our first match, we have Yuna versus Tai Hamna. Now, what's interesting about this match, Yuna actually met Hana Kimura back in 2019. There's a photo of her that they posted somewhere on social media, and it's great that she participated. She faced Tai Hamna. As many of you know, I mentioned many times that she will be retiring later on in October. But it was a pretty good match. I am sure that, Yuna, who is still hasn't, she has learned a lot and grown as in her wrestling craft. She was unable to succeed winning this match until Hamna applied a submission move, and just like that, it was over. Now, our next match, we had plenty other people that participate in this. We had this one called the Battle Royale. We had, of course, Unagi Sayaka, who was involved, Fuminori Abe, Cherry. I think we have those people. Let me look it up. I know there was plenty of people here who participated in that Battle Royale. I know I saw it somewhere. Okay, so this is who we had. Def Yamasan, Banana Senga, Cherry, Fuminori Abe, Ippenji Munenoru Sawa, Ram Kaicho, Shuji Ishikawa, Super Delphine, Tsutomu Oichi, Unagi, Sayaka, Yuki, Miyazaki, and Yuko Miyamoto. What's interesting is there were some moments where they were taking this some moments outside the ring. Some dressed up in some weird outfits, others like in sports outfits, that sort of thing. But however, the person who picked up the win is someone who Hana Kimura knew all along, and that is Def Yamasan. For those who don't know, this was the early incarnation before she became Gokigen Def, then Fukigen Def. So she picked up the win just like that. I'm like, pretty amazing to see that. Now, this next match, well, this one was going back and forth at least 3 times. Well, it's Seigo Tachibana versus Aja Kong. Now, what's interesting, this match ended in 1 minute and 21 seconds after Aja Kong gave him a back fist. And just like that, 90-night grace, just like that, it was over. However, Tachibana was not satisfied with this match, how it ended, so the match had a restart. And surprise, surprise, the result was the same. This match ended in 32 seconds after Aja Kong, once again, with the back fist. I'm like, Jesus Christ, Tachibana. And then once again, when he realized he loses, oh, the match had to restart again. Now, this match went a bit more further, up to 1 minute and 32 seconds after Aja Kong decided to whack him with the trash can and then a back fist. And just like that, 1, 2, 3, it's over. Yeah, so completely over. But I don't know what Aja Kong said to Tachibana in the post-match promo, but I mean, Tachibana should have just let it go, but he didn't. Yeah. But yeah, our next match, we have a 3-way match. We have Sensori Oyagi versus Shin Hana Kimura, or Sakura Hiroda, who dressed up like her, and Jaguar Yokota. Now, of course, when it comes to Sakura Hiroda, the one thing you need to do, watch your backs, because she'll put something up the butthole. That's the last thing you need. But luckily, that did not happen that often. But it was Jaguar Yokota who picked up the pinfall when she pinned Oyagi, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. Now, our next match, we have a bit of a 3-way tag team match. We have Red Energy, consisting of Miyuki Takase and Mika Iwata, versus Natsupoi and Saory versus Reiwa Ultima Powers, Dash Shizako, and Hiroyo Watsumoto. So it's interesting to see these 3 teams. Now, for those who probably know, Saory actually have met Hana Kimura before. I think many of the people do. But man, this match was absolutely amazing. I mean, it was brutal. But I'm sure Mika Iwata had her issues towards Natsupoi due to her history towards Saori Anu, but even though she was not participating in this event, in case anybody asked. But unfortunately, this match ended in a time limit draw after 15 minutes, so there was no winners, no losers, just like that. Our next match, well, this one is a mixed tag team match, or intergender tag team match. We have Big Hash herself, Chihiro Hashimoto, teaming up with Shotaro Ashino versus Konami and Minoru Suzuki. Now, for those who don't know, Konami was a member of the Tokyo Cyber Squad right before Hana Kimura's untimely passing, so she had a bit of connection towards her as well. And of course, you know, she, along with Jung Kiona and Hana, brought a lot of success with the Tokyo Cyber Squad. But they're facing against 2 tough individuals. But when it comes to Minoru Suzuki, you all know he's a dangerous dude. And it's interesting to see Hana Kimura, Konami and Minoru Suzuki team up, because if those who don't know, Konami has never in her entire career, until the first produced show by Unagi, she never faced Min before. And she even thanked her for saying, thank you for introducing me to this, you know. And her teaming up with Minoru Suzuki was interesting, because one of the opponents where she and Unagi teamed up was against Minoru Suzuki, and I forgot who was his partner. But yeah, now they team up, which is interesting. But in the end, it was Minoru Suzuki who picked up the win by a pinfall onto Ashino, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was done. Now, our main event, we have Benny versus Rina from Stardom. Now, for those who know this or not, Rina was part of the Tokyo Cyber Squad. If you guys know the story, after the Jungle Assault Nation lost the match about losers, the unit will be disbanded. Well, Rina was part of that group along with her sisters, with Hanan and Hina. Before they were all separated, Hanan ended up with Stars, Hina with Queen's Quest, and as for Rina, she ended up with Tokyo Cyber Squad. And if you guys ever noticed, she had before she changed her hair color to pink, she had that same kind of look like Hana Kimura, in case anybody asks. She always admired her and always talked about her, and that's she tries to keep up a little bit of her image in her look, not in her wrestling craft, in case anybody asks. But when it comes to Veni, you all know Veni is a very strong individual. She doesn't take any crap from anybody. She's a bit of aggressive when it comes to taking on her opponents. Benny put everything on her arsenal to pick up the win, but Rina is the type of person who rather not lose in an important event when it comes to someone who she admired, who she looked up to. But unfortunately, Benny picked up the win with the Tiger Suplex, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. But of course, as always, for those who know this or not, in the end of every Hana Kimura memorial show, there's always that phrase that they use, matinee. That was one of the first ones they had back in 2021, which means see you soon. And everybody had it said it. We had people like Kenny Omega, Chris Wolf, and we had the same thing here with people at the end were saying Hanabi. I did see Fuminori Abe, Ram Kaichu, and a few others, but always the person who says it last is her mother, of course. But like I said, it was a pretty good show, but the one show that will always be the best one for me will have to be the first one back in 2021. The Matinee was one of my favorite ones. That one really, at the end of that show, really broke me into tears. And, like Chris Jericho said about after Brody Lee passed away, it's like, it's okay to cry, damn it. But I didn't feel like that. But like I said, the first one will always be a very special Memorial show to watch, because that was the very first one, and it was a really good one. I'm not saying this one was bad, but there were some good matches I did enjoy on this one. So we'll leave things as that. But as of right now, let's move on forward with our next review, and I believe we're going to be doing New Japan with Best of the Super Juniors, only focusing on the A block. Okay, New Japan Pro Wrestling, Best of the Super Juniors, Day 11, I believe. Yes. Now, for those who know this, the way this thing concludes is by having two winners from two different blocks, the A block and the B block. Now, when it comes to the point system, it's where things get a little tricky for those who don't know, because you see, sometimes they do these additional points, like this certain person has to win in order to proceed. But if this other person loses, that person who's supposed to win, well, he won't advance. That sort of thing. But the main event kind of tells it all, but we'll get to that. Now, let's begin with the first match involving the tournament itself. We have Dragon Dia versus Ninja Mac. A spectacular match. I mean, there was no way these two guys would have made it through to all the way to the finals. I mean, it would have been awesome for those who are big fans of these two guys. But the one thing was crazy is how Ninja Mac ended. He applied the 540, which is like a spinning, a rapid spinning front kick in the middle of the air, and just like that, bam, he knocked him out. 1, 2, 3, Ninja Mac wins. So he ends his tournament with the total points of 8. Same thing with Dragon Dia, but none of them make it through. Now, our next match, we have Francesco Akira versus Kushida. Now, of course, we know what happened last time with Francesco Akira. I just hope he kept his cool. But I have to say there were some interesting moments in this match. Kushida, many people always often say he is probably more recognizable to be in a tournament. But Francesco Akira, as you know, has been determined to make his way through to, of course, win the tournament and hopefully become IWGP Junior Heavyweight Champion. But he has failed on multiple occasions on various people who held the title, especially those like Desperado, who he often believed he could defeat him, but he failed. But in this case, it was Francesco Akira once again with that the submission move that allowed him to proceed on into the next phase. He ends his tournament with 10 points, but there's a lot of crucial parts from here. Our next match, well, yeah, Yoshinobu Kanemaru versus Master Wato. Now, of course, when it comes to Yoshinobu Kanemaru, we all know the kind of scumbag he is due to being a member of the House of Losers. They always cut ways to go through. But however, this match ended with Kanemaru applying a figure four leg lock, but he does not proceed into the finals, in case anybody asks. So he win by submission by the figure four leg lock. But of course, the referee tried to tell him to get off. The match was over. Guess who show up? The other House of Losers, Yujiro and Sho. But luckily, Master Wato's tag team partner showed up the helping hand. I'm sure Yo has some unfinished business to deal with them, but at the moment, he has to look out for his tag partner, even though certain implications will lead on. Now, our next match, we have Clark Connors versus Kosa Fujita. I have to say, this is one of the toughest battles that, of course, Kosa Fujita has ever been in. Because Clark Connors, he's an aggressive wrestler. He's determined not to take crap from anybody, and not to mention to bring back body bags, bodies in the bags to prove their point. I mean, I wasn't expecting too much, but man, this match was important. But it was Kosa Fujita that was able to pick up the win by applying a submission move onto Clark Connors, and just like that, it was over. Now, here's where the crucial part begins. Our next match, which is the main event, is Robbie X versus Hiromu. However, here's the kicker what happened. If Robbie X loses the match to Hiromu, there's going to be a three-way tie between Hiromu, Clark Connors, and Francesco Kerr, from my understanding or so. But, however, if Robbie X wins the match, Kosa Fujita most likely be the one to represent the A block. So you can see the trickiness right there, folks, because that's one of the things you have to pay attention with tournaments like these, whether it's the best of the Super Juniors, Junior Tag League, the G1, World Tag League. That's one of the tricky things you have to learn, is how the point system works. I mean, sometimes you have to figure out who is an elite. It doesn't matter, like, okay, he gains 2 points, but there has to be circumstances that leads to it. And this is one of those moments. Now, I think many of you might have thought, okay, possibly Hiromu, who's been considered one of the best junior heavyweight competitors, most likely could win. But yeah, but the real question I think many people would have asked, do we really need a three-way tie to break it? I mean, I don't think so. But surprisingly, Robbie X was able to overturn it on 2 occasions in the match. I forgot what was the first one, but the second time is when he applied the X Express, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, he wins the match with a total points of 8. But however, because of how this match ended, this means Kosa Fujita is now the winner of the A block representing, and he'll meet whoever goes into B block coming up. So this is one of those things where, of course, now we have to question, will Kosa Fujita fulfill what he said he is desiring to do? His goal is to become the first ever youngest IWGP Junior Heavyweight Champion. If he pulls it off, I have to say, good for you, kid. So go for it. So we'll see what happens. But, however, we will see who will walk out as the B block winner to face Kosa Fujita in the finals. And I believe this will take place on the 1st of June. But as of right now, we'll end things here with New Japan and go on to our last and final review, NXT. Okay, so NXT, as you all know, we entered the fallout after NXT Battleground this past Sunday. We opened up with the NXT North American Championship on the line between Ricky Saints and Ethan Page. Now, this rivalry between these two, as you probably know, dates back ever since Ricky Saints made his official appearance and debut on NXT. Ethan Page has often been saying, you don't belong here because you're an outsider. But what Vic Joseph mentioned about Ethan Page, like, look who's talking, you were one of them too. So basically that was the whole point. He always often feels that Ricky Saints doesn't deserve to become champion in NXT because he was an outsider. But of course, they already recently did had a match against each other in Stand and Deliver. But of course, Ricky Saints walked out as the victor. But however, it appears that Ethan Page is like, oh hell no, it's not over yet. So But however, this entire match was out of control. Basically, it was more like they wanted to kill each other. But Ava was trying to ensure that this match ends clean. But Ethan Page did whatever it took to dismantle him, like tried to break him. But every Ricky stood toe to toe no matter what until finally his body gave out when Ethan Page applied the ego cutter, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, surprise out of nowhere, Ethan Page is our brand new NXT North American champion. And of course, he started showing a smile on his face because he had that depressing look like he was about like to cry. But now he doesn't have to. Now, Sarah conducts an interview with Jay-Z Jane where she's accompanied by both Fallon Henley and Jasmine Nix. As you probably know, in the main event, Jay-Z Jane will face Stephanie Vakir for the NXT Women's Championship. Now, the reason she wanted this match was because, of course, Fatal Influence have not been in a good state at the moment ever since Fallon Henley lost the NXT North American Championship. But she saw the opportunity when, of course, Stephanie was having a bit of argument with both Dalis, someone who she knew from her past back in her CML days in Mexico, and Chica Tormenta, who, of course, is not part of CML back in the day. She's part of AAA. So that kind of leads that to that. And of course, she said that she took the opportunity and grabbed it. So that's what led to this match that will be in our main event. Now, as you all know, we saw the surprise reappearance and return of Yoshiko Inamura, who, as you all know, he blamed himself how things have not been going between him and Josh Briggs. But he came back out of nowhere in NXT Battleground after, of course, Josh Briggs, along with the current NXT Tag Team Champions, Hank and Tech, succeeded defeating the Colin. But Inamura said that they should aim higher, not only the tag team belts, but much higher. So basically, that's the goal. And I think Josh Briggs is appreciating what Inamura wants to do. They know that the NXT tag team titles are still in the picture, but they should aim higher than they ever been before. Not only as a tag team, but as individuals. So that's something I'm sure we could see. Now, our next match, we have Mike Santana versus Tavion Heights. Now, as you know, Mike Santana appeared in NXT Battleground doing an interview. He was interrupted by Charlie Dempsey, of course. Much like Dempsey, he treated him like an outsider, like everything else, even though he was there on a visit to check out the event, until Tavion Heights decided, I want to have a match against you. And I think that was a very interesting thing. However, of course, we did see the members of No Quarters Catch Crew, consistent mostly with Dempsey and Ren Sinclair. Tavion Heights did really put up a fight, but unfortunately, it was Mike Santana who actually put up the fight when he applied the spin to block, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was done. And then, of course, during the post-match, Mike Santana picked him up, stand him up, shook his hand, and showed him the sign of respect. Now, I don't know what Dempsey thinks of this, but I'm sure he's not liking this, the way Mike Santana has been treating him. But we'll see. Now, Andre Chase was having a nice discussion with his newest students, Cale Dixon and Uriah Connor. So they're talking about certain strategies. But however, Ava decided to say that Dixon and, of course, Connors will team up with Andre Chase to take on Dark State. And this is the last thing, of course, these guys want to be in. So, I don't know. Mr. Chase is like, why? So, yeah, that sort of thing. Now, we all saw what happened in between the dawn of NXT, Tony D'Angelo, and, of course, Stacks. Out of nowhere, we saw Lucas Crucifino that showed up. Now, the real question is, where the hell was he after all this time? You know, Crucifino tried to explain his reasons that he was able to escape what, of course, Stacks was planning. But he said he hid out of nowhere, and of course he was concerned for his safety because he knew if he got in touch with both Tony and, of course, Rizzo, it could lead to problems. But Tony D'Angelo doesn't know if to believe him or not because recently things have not been going well with them in the family. So we'll see where that goes from there. Now, Trick Williams, as you all know, he defeated Joe Hendry to become the next the TNA World Championship. So he is the first NXT talent to win a championship outside of its promotion. And of course, you know how Trick Williams is. He's probably happy as a clam winning this belt. But however, someone decided to make an appearance, and that's Mike Santana. Now, it makes perfect sense why, because for those who don't know, Mike Santana, when he made his return to TNA, not as a tag team competitor, but more as a singles competitor, he made his mission that the one thing he wants to do to achieve is to win the TNA World Championship. And that gives him the perfect opportunity. But at the same time, he feels, hey, you took a belt that doesn't belong to NXT. So I'm going to be its savior. Now, of course, Trick Williams was definitely not going to do this. But the director of Authority, Santino Marella, I don't know how he was able to pull it off, decided that next week, that he had a little nice discussion with Ava. Next week, the TNA World Championship will be defended on NXT territory. Trick Williams will defend it against Mike Santana. And I'm sure Mike Santana was happy. So he tried to show sign to respect with Trick, but Trick was not having it. But all hell broke loose between them. But we'll see what happens next week between those two. Now, Stephanie Vakir was having a nice discussion with Ava because apparently, as you all know, we have the upcoming collaboration with AAA and now TNA. Apparently, Ava said that she'll be facing in a tag team match against Dalis and Chick Tormenta. As you all know, they appeared on NXT Battleground. But however, Ava told her that she needs a tag team partner, and the person who volunteered, well, that was Lola Vice. So, most likely, it's going to be Lola Vice, Stephanie Vakir versus Dalis and Chick Tormenta. Now, Jada Parker goes up in the ring again, this time to face Tatum Paxley. As you all know, Tatum Paxley has not been in a good state of mind. Last week, Thekla tried to talk to her about asking her what the hell was going on with her until she was attacked by Jada Parker. But of course, Jada Parker, as you know, has been making a statement for the last couple of weeks, and she defeated Tatum Paxley with the hip knot, and just like that, it was over. However, while she was celebrating, Thekla showed up because she had unfinished business with her. Because as you know, Jada Parker is saying, hey Thea, do yourself a favor, get the hell out of here. No one wants you here. But she chose to be here now that she's different as she used to be. Now our next match, we have Dante Chen. Man, I haven't seen this guy for a while, not since NXT Level Up stopped doing their thing. And Jasper Troy, well, I have remember him now because he did show up on NXT Level Up before. But those who do know, he is the LFG winner. So he ended up in this match. But this match, I have to say, this one looked more like Dante Chen was about to win. He tried the gentle touch, but nothing worked. Until Jasper Troy applied the black hole slam, and just like that, 1, 2, 3 is over. However, during the post-match, Obafemi showed up, and he tells him that your 5 seconds of fame is up. Because if you guys remember, last time, Jasper Shepard made his statement by attacking Obafemi not too long ago, maybe a week or two ago. So, most likely we'll see that. Now, in the backstage area, we did see No Quarter Catch Crew having a nice conversation. Well, Charlie Dempsey, being now the prick that he is, he's telling both Tavion Heights and Miles Bourne that they lost. But however, Miles Bourne did not consider this loss a big deal. He feels like he stood toe-to-toe against a powerful adversary. But Charlie Dempsey didn't see it that way. But however, Miles Bourne decided that it was time for him to make his exit out of the Quarter Catch Crew. But Charlie Dempsey was not going to have that. But there's going to be a match between those two next week. If Miles Bourne's win, he's out of No Quarter Catch Crew. But if Charlie Dempsey wins, well, he stays still with the No Quarter Catch Crew. Now, after what, maybe an hour or so, almost an hour and a half after winning the NXT North American title, well, Ethan Page decided to celebrate by throwing a promo until once again one of his adversaries that he's been dealing with for a while, Javon Evans, decided to show up, telling him that, you know, he talked with Ava about having the NXT North American title defended in Worlds Collide. But Ethan Page felt like, hey, pal, sorry, you don't get to have a title shot. You have to earn it. But John's like, you didn't hear me what I'm saying. It's not just going to be me. Apparently, he tells them, you know, there's 2 others. The first one who showed up was Laredo Kid. So basically, there's that. Of course, but Ethan Page, as you know, was not too concerned about that until Animo! Yep, Ray Phoenix showed up. So now Ethan Page has put himself in the bit predicament that he's facing a guy he had to deal with for a while against two other high flyers, one representing AAA and TNA, while the other one, as you know, is currently in the main roster. So we'll see what happens, because at World Collide, it's going to be a fatal four-way for the NXT North American Championship. Now, while that promo was happening in the ring, Stevie Turner was questioning Ava, why in the hell did you put Sean Legacy in this match? He deserved it since he won his first match last week. Now, Ava said that she had an idea for Sean Legacy. So whoever walks out as the NXT North American Champion in Worlds Collide will be the next person that Sean's Legacy will take a crack at him. So that fits in perfectly right there. Now, we did see in the backstage Tatum Paxley, as you know, going crazy. As you know, Shotzi and Gigi Dolan are gone until out of nowhere the calling was right behind her. So most likely there is the possibility she could recruit her. So we'll see what happens. Now our next match, we have the NXT Women's Championship. Jacy Jayne making her first attempt against Stephanie Vakir. Now, of course, factors of this, Stephanie Vakir has dealt with Fatal Influence before. Don't forget, she was the one who dethroned Fallon Henley. She knows every trick in the book, how these ladies operate. But the one thing she did not predict was Dali's and Chick Tormenta once again interfering in her business, tried to cost her the match. But luckily Lola Vice took care of them. But because of this, it led to a lot of mayhem going around. But of course, Fatal Influence tried to get in the way. Jasmine Nix actually distract the ref, giving Fallon Henley time, of course, for Jacy Jayne to pick up the pinfall. And just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. So Jacy Jayne picked up the win, becoming the NXT Women's Champion. But I think there's a lot of people that question why. For those who know this, Stephanie had that belt for nearly 70 days. There will be more explanation about this in our news updates related to that. So I suggest let's get to that right now. Alrighty then, so let's get started with some news updates. As always, let's begin with upcoming events. So, as you all know, on the 31st of May in Japan, we have the Saory and Natsu 10th anniversary, which is the self-produced show by Saori Anu and Natsupoi. They did just mention, of course, this was reported, it was revealed by Scott E. Edwards about the card. Now, as I mentioned, the main event will feature Saori Anu and Natsupoi taking on Chihiro Hashimoto and Mika Iwata. The semi-main event features, of course, talent from Stardom. Representing Neo Genesis, we have Azumi and Starlight Kid taking on Wingori, members of Stars, Saya Ida and Hanan. And then we have, of course, the Tenku Rumble. There's going to be plenty of wrestlers participating. Then we have, of course, Aya Sakura versus Sari, which is going to be interesting. Sayaka Kurara versus Mayumi Ozaki. That's going to be a bit brutal, but I'm sure Kurara will find a way to beat her. And then finally, Yuna Mizumori versus Saki, someone who she's been familiarized with. Then we have the Master and Discipline match. We have Yumiko Ota. She'll be teaming up with her student Miku Kane versus Kaoru Itu, and she'll be teaming up with Rian, as you know, who she requested to be part of this match. Then we have that special match. We have Aina Iba and Maika Ozaki taking on Taya Hamna and Yuna Manaze. And of course, the special referee will feature Nao Kakuta. As you all know, she retired early this year. So there's that. And then, of course, but the start of the event, there's the Atlas Girls Actress Time event. Of course, they will do the infamous Love Riddle, which is a song that, of course, Natsupoi and Saori Anu have been familiarized during their Atlas Girls days. So that's pretty much what we do know that will take place on that. Keep moving on, of course, with the upcoming events. As you know, I mentioned Miyu Yamashita will be participating in a Texas promotion called Metroplex Wrestling. If I have any subscribers from the Redford, Texas area, she'll be there on the 31st as well. And they just announced her opponent will be Maya World. And this also will take place on the 31st of May. But they're not the only promotion. They're also doing an event on the 31st of May. So is, of course, Wrestling Revolver with Unreal. We have Ace Austin versus Joe Alonso, which is the first time ever these two will face. June 7th, we have the House of Glory with Puerto Rican Weekend. They announced the six-way championship. Infamous will defend his belt against the Amazing Red. We have GCW's The Cage of Survival 4. That'll take place on June 8th in Atlantic City. They just announced Slade will take on Bear Bronson. So that's going to be interesting. DEFY Wrestling with their Vortex event on the 13th of June. The DEFY Women's Championship will be defended. Mina Shafir will defend her championship against Viperous. And then we have, of course, MLW, Major League Wrestling, with Summer of the Beast. That will take place on the 26th of June in New York City. There's going to be a match between two Tokyo Yoshi Pro Wrestling wrestlers, Wakana Uehara and Yuki Kamifuku, and this probably will be their debut in this promotion. Spark Joshi Puroresu of America, as you know, they'll do a Texas event in Redford as well on the 29th of June for Ignite Texas, and they announced that the newly crowned Spark Yoshi World Champion Azuki will be there. So yeah, she's been announced for that. Atlanta-based promotion known as MLA, they announced that the faction known as like Toxicas from AAA will be participating in a show on the 13th of July called I think this is 35th Genesis, something like that. I don't know. La Hydra, Lady Maravilla, and Lady Flamer. They all will be participating in this, and this is part of the whole thing with AAA as well. And then finally, Prestige Wrestling with Combat Clash 2025, also on the 13th of July. They announced the debut of Man Like the Reese. So yes, that's going to happen. Now, let's move on, of course, with some developments. Many of you know this. There is a New Japan Pro Wrestling event that takes place in New Zealand and possibly Australia called Tamashi, and this one is run by none other than Big Bad Luck Fale. And they just announced there's going to be, of course, the Tamashi tag team titles that will be, of course, crowned on July 4th. This is something we know that's been happening. There's been doing some New Japan shows for quite a while, so I'll keep following on that. Now, in regard of what happened on NXT that we witnessed, it was later revealed that there'll be some names be mentioned that are being called up to the main roster. Amongst them is Stephanie Vakir. She'll be heading all the way to Raw, while Jordan Grace will be making her way to SmackDown. Now, I know some people will question a lot of things, I know, but there are those that are also saying that maybe they're doing this due to the fact they want to focus on new girls, but some other people were saying that maybe they're moving Stephanie Vakir to the main roster to protect her from because if all of you don't know this, there are some people that have a grudge against Stephanie Vakir because she put her attacker behind bars after testifying against him. So you probably can guess that, but I'm not sure if that's the case. But we'll see how things will go from there. As you all know, recently I mentioned that Tokyo Pro Wrestling has a new trainee that will be debuting soon. She goes by the name of Konatsu. Well, apparently she just renamed her name into Ren Konatsu. There's a little bit of information about her that was later revealed. Let me pull it up real quick. Yes, she was originally a fan of Ski E48, which began watching Tokyo Pro Wrestling after Yuki Arai joined. So basically it would make sense. She, inspired by Azumi, she decided to become a pro wrestler herself. So yeah, I can't wait to see what she's going to do. Now, there was, of course, a thing with the Brian Alvarez report about WWE going head-to-head with AEW this year. And this is what he said. I was told at this point, and don't ask me for more details because I don't have them. But at this point, there are at least, I was told, 2 other instances coming up this year where they plan on doing head-to-head with AEW battles in these big long weekends. Now remember, there's been talk about this before. We just recently had this past weekend with NXT Battleground and Double or Nothing. So that kind of sets it up. And there's another one taking place later on in June. As you know, AW will be making their debut in Arena Mexico, participating for um, Grand Slam Mexico. And of course, around that same time, we have Worlds Collide taking place. So that kind of sets it up right there. Um, there's been talk about recently as well about the men's Owen Hart Cup tournament that took place. This one was reported by Sean Rassap of Fightful Select, and this is what he reported. The winner of the men's Owen Hart tournament was kept heavily under wraps. Performers themselves did not know who would win. Hangman Page and Will Ospreay themselves only found out the winner earlier that weekend. Uh, Fightful reports that Hangman Page actually pushed for Will Ospreay to win, while Will Ospreay pushed Hangman Page to win, and that Jon Moxley himself leaned towards wanting Hangman to win the match. Fightful also adds that Hangman winning backstage was a shock, as most thought it would be Ospreay, and the current backstage morale is in AEW is overwhelmingly positive. So it's interesting to hear that Will is pushing for Hangman to win, while Hangman was the one saying, "I want Will Ospreay to win." But John said, "No, I want to go with Hangman." So right now they're saying that because now they have Hangman as the winner, it seems that morality in the backstage for AEW is now going positive. So some things are going right now, because I know people have been giving some negative thoughts about AEW, about things that have been going on. So it's interesting. So can't wait to see what's going to happen. So I'll keep you guys updated if there's more on that. Now, an interesting development. Many of you may know this thing called the WWE ID prospect. They normally recruit wrestlers from the independents. They're not officially signed with WWE just yet, but they do have a guarantee opportunity if they do make the transition to that. Apparently, one particular wrestler named Freedom Ramsey, who recently made his appearance in Evolve, has departed from WWE ID prospect. But he did left a statement, a video statement on X about his departure, and this is what he had to say. WWE has always been a dream of mine. No, never mind. Hold on, let me go back. I just wanted to share something. I am no longer with WWE ID. This does not happen publicly because some things are just meant to be handled behind closed doors. I just wanted to keep it real with the fans who supported me since day one, whether it's in small gyms or in bright lights. WWE has always been a dream of mine. It changed me. Wrestling on WWE Evolve training at the Performance Center, just meeting everyone in use on TV. I learned, I grew up, I developed. Now, new chapter begins. I'm not sure what it looks like yet, but I'm going to come into the same hunger I did when I started professional wrestling. Thank you guys for the support. Thanks for riding with me. The journey is far from over. So yeah, so he made the decision to leave. It was kept on the wraps, but of course, he wants to do this amicably. So I'm sure we'll see him somewhere. Now, our last update on our developments here. Many people have been speculating that Thekla will make her appearance at Double or Nothing because, as you know, we know that there's been talk that she'll be making her way to AEW. But Sean Rassap reported that Thekla now lives in Arizona and she's getting some stuff done. Now, it's still unclear what those stuff is. We don't know if she's been looking for a house to live in. I'm not sure if she chose to live in Arizona. But that's exactly what Sean Rapp said. We do not know where this thing with Thekla would tie in. We do know she has been making her way straight to them. So we'll see what happens from there. But as of right now, I say let's just call it a day. Well, I hope everybody enjoys this episode. Coming up, as you know, as always, for Wednesday we have WWE Evolve and AEW Dynamite. I cannot wait to see what's going to happen on Dynamite due to the fact that we're entering the fallout after Double or Nothing. Of course, the winners of the arena, Anarchy of the Arena, Hangman Page winning the Owen Hart Cup tournament, so is Mercedes Moné, and a few other things as well. So we'll see how things will roll up. Now, I haven't decided yet if there's going to be any reviews coming up from any other reviews, But we'll see how things will roll up. But for right now, priority is WWE Evolved and, of course, AEW Dynamite. So stay tuned for that. But as of right now, I'll say this, that I will see you guys in the next DWZ time, same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So, goodbye, and have a nice day. Bang.